Welcome to another episode of the 412 podcast. My name is Jeremy Davis. I'm the associate pastor at FBC Mustang, and once again, your host for another episode of 412. And today, we are going to be talking about all things youth ministry, particularly youth camp, Falls Creek Youth Camp. And I have a whole team of guests here today. We have the one and only and frequent guest, Mr. Joseph Snodgrass. And then we have his two counterparts, and I'm going to let him introduce those. But welcome to the show, Joey.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, glad you're here. You're always a favorite. And why don't you introduce the people that are here with you?
So we've got Kashaun Barber, Director of Student Ministries, and Mary Staten, Director of Girls Ministry. They just started back in May full-time, and so were with me throughout the entire summer and have done a great job.
Awesome. Glad you're both here. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Mary, you've been on the show before.
I have.
Yeah, we talked about internships.
Yeah, and I'm no longer an intern.
No longer an intern. You have promoted.
That's right.
So, Kashaun and Mary, how are things here at the church so far?
I've enjoyed it so much. I love working here full time. Some of my coworkers are not so great. I'm just kidding. No, everyone is awesome. Honestly, having good coworkers is probably one of the best parts.
Don't worry, we won't tell Jeff.
Yeah. She talks bad about Michael like that all the time.
Yeah, well,
he's all the way down the hall.
He never listens to these, so.
Yeah.
How about you, Kashaun?
It's been wonderful. One of the things coming from just a secular vocation, coming to a sacred vocation, is just the average, just kind of attitude of the staff. Everyone's like super positive and uplifting. They're always asking if there's any help that needs to be done and stuff like that.
So, how's the summer overall been for youth ministry?
It's been busy, but good.
Yeah.
It's a very different time of year for us. I don't know that we necessarily have like a high and low time, but it's really busy. The schedule's really odd and just trying to be flexible.
Yeah.
I told Kashaun and Mary when they started that this summer is going to be nothing like what your schedule is during the school year.
Right.
It's topsy-turvy, and students are out of school, so we try to be flexible and spend a lot of time with them and take advantage of that.
Right.
So we've got book studies going on, all kinds of stuff throughout the week.
Yeah, it's so you're used to seeing people come in and do counseling as they can. And a lot of times it's kind of after work hours or closer to that lunch hour. We do lunch meetings. And then it's always amazing to me, summer hits, and it feels like there's students in our offices all the time, especially now that both Kashaun and Mary are here. There's 3 times as much counseling and meetings and stuff going on. So there's always someone from the youth ministry close by, someone around. That's pretty neat. Okay, so you had 2 weeks of Falls Creek.
Yep.
So how did Falls Creek go just overall?
It was really good. So we take our middle school, our week 1, and then high school the second week. And we do that intentionally because middle schoolers have a lot more energy. So we want to be able to keep up with them and not, just enjoy life.
Yeah.
And then high schoolers are a lot more chill and don't require as much hands-on attention. So, but it was really good. It was a lot of fun both weeks. Brought a lot of students, and they seem to have a lot of fun. So
we're great.
Thankful.
We're great. So you do middle school first, then high school?
Yes.
Okay. And one of the highlights of my summer is getting to go down on Friday. And nothing against middle school students, but I really love going down on high school week because I oversee our Crossroads College ministry. And so I get to spend time with all of what we call freshmen that are getting ready to come up into our ministry area. And spend some time teaching and hanging out and just getting to know them better. It looked like it was just a phenomenal week, both weeks, and I've heard a lot of really good things about it. So thinking about just the setup and the preparation for camp and what it takes to get camp or make camp happen, how many months out of your year are you spending working on youth camp?
I would probably say 2 full months. So May and then obviously June when camp happens. So
right.
And that's probably pretty accurate. So we've got to like reserve cabins and stuff like that this fall. So just in a couple months, and then there's just little things that come up throughout the year that need attention. But probably 2 full months.
Yeah, 2 full months. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
So Kashaun and Mary, was there anything that was surprising to you, kind of being behind the scenes for the first time on camp, maybe things you didn't even realize happened that were happening that maybe are really crucial to making camp happen?
Well, so one of the things that I'll point out is, and I learned this when we got to camp and we were registering people, Joey is very organized and prepared.
Oh, yeah.
So literally I had my backpack. he gave me like 3 folders full of paperwork and all that stuff and just sent me to the registration place. And I could tell that he was extremely prepared because whenever I got to the place, the workers were like, oh, FBC, right?
Yeah.
And like, then I looked over and I saw some people who were struggling a little bit with like some of the paperwork they needed to get done. But that's just a testament to how prepared and stuff that Joey is. And it was really cool just to have everything done, have everything ready, and be able to get back to the cabin pretty quickly to help set up and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's great. What about you, Mary?
Well, when we both first started, that was in May, and it was definitely kind of cool coming in and immediately starting camp stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, it flew by. I barely even remember it. It's kind of just all blurry. But
from,
no, it was
from the lack
cool.
of sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely don't get a ton of sleep, and I didn't even go the full middle school week, but I was already exhausted. I don't know how these two guys did that. It was just really fun, though, having Joey. That's right. He really is organized. I know a lot of people don't think that, but he is.
What have you heard?
But we had like a list going beforehand, and it was just really cool to know what we needed to get done and not be like questioning if there's anything we needed to do.
Yeah, Joey's incredibly organized, and I'm always impressed when I go in his office. He has a Post-it note up at the top of his desk. And to me, it looks like he's written like 3 months of like teaching dates down and I don't know how he writes so small on this Post-it note.
And
He's got
cursive.
Yeah, he's got a ton of information on just a Post-it note, and he keeps himself very organized there. I've got like 17 different postcards, Post-it notes, note cards all over the place trying to keep things straight, and I can barely do it. So I'm always very impressed by that. So
Thank you.
How many volunteers does it take to make camp happen?
That's a good question. I would say about 50. So including cooks and sponsors for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So Falls Creek requires us to have a 1 to 10 adult to student ratio. So 1 adult for every 10 students. And that doesn't include cooks. And so we're bringing, about 20 sponsors a week, not including cooks, and about 5 cooks each week.
Okay. So cooks, it's pretty obvious what they're doing, but what are a lot of your sponsors doing while they're at camp?
So one of the primary things is they're leading a small group, and so they're responsible for asking good questions, paying attention obviously during the preaching so they can ask good application questions in their small group. And connected to that, they're in charge of keeping tabs on their small group students throughout the week. So at Falls Creek, they have a lot of freedom. We just require them to never be alone, so the students have to take at least one other student with them wherever they go. And so the sponsors are in charge of keeping track of them just at meal times, making sure all their students are there and no one's missing. And so that's kind of their primary responsibility. And then beyond that, just helping clean and keep things orderly and keep kids in line, things like that.
Cleaning is very important.
It is very important.
It's always me going back to when I was in camp. And what's funny is we were in the same cabin when I was in the youth group. So same setup. I've slept in those bunks when I was in high school, and but it always takes me back when you walk into one of those dorm rooms. Just the smell of middle school boys or whatever. You immediately go back and you're reminded how important it is to be clean.
Yeah, it takes about an hour into middle school week for the guys' dorms to stink.
Oh yeah,
they just go in and take their shoes off, and it just
happens.
rank.
It's so quick.
Yeah, very quick. That's great. So how many students did we take each week?
So we had about 200 registered for both weeks. So it was roughly 100 each week. We had slightly more high schoolers than middle schoolers, but it was pretty close to 100 each week.
Okay, that's a lot of students.
Yeah, it's a bunch.
Yeah. That's quite the feat to keep all of those organized and keep track of all of them, not lose anyone.
Yes. We did not lose anyone.
That's good.
Permanently.
Yeah, permanently. Yeah, that's right. Not that we'll admit to anyway. Very good. So I want to talk a little bit about the spiritual significance of the week. What is it that you're studying? What were the students learning? And then why is it so important that students go to camp? What are they learning? How are we able to invest in them? Talk about some of those things.
Yeah, so I'll give a brief answer and let Kashaun and Mary pipe in as well. So I think it's significant because it's an entire week we're spending together studying the Bible, essentially. We have a ton of fun. We stay up late, but we're there to study the Bible. And so it's a unique week compared to like the school year or just a normal week in the summer because we're all together studying the Bible. And so you can see a lot of growth in students even just in that week. For me, I like it because I never spend that much time with all of our students. And so it's uninterrupted time with our students, which I love. And it's exhausting, but I love it. And we were studying 1 Timothy 2:5 in cabin, which says there's one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. Mm-hmm. So we got to spend just a whole week, each week, thinking about Christ and his intercession for us and what he's accomplished for us on the cross.
Yeah, that's great. Kashaun and Mary, a little bit about just the time that you get to invest in some of these students.
I agree with Joey. It's really cool to have a week just uninterrupted with these students, getting to know them, getting to get closer to them, and actually learning their names, because that's kind of where you have to know it to keep track of everyone.
Sure.
But it's a really cool time, and there's a lot of teaching times that Falls Creek has, and then also we have Joey teach and Kashaun teach, and then like you mentioned, the pastors come down for morning teaching times, and so they are constantly being fed the word, and it's just a really cool thing to see some of them grow when some of them don't go to our church. Yep. And they haven't really heard our teaching. They're not really sure who our pastors are, and they get to meet us and then also learn more about the word.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I'll mention. I think just generally speaking, Falls Creek is extremely beneficial because we live in such a culture that's so distracted and so busy that taking an entire week to just cut out all the distractions, all of the normal parts of our schedules that take up a lot of time, and just focus on time with the Lord, I think is really cool. It's helpful for me because I am trying my hardest to get to know these students and get to know their names and get to see them all the time. And it's just really beneficial to take an entire week or for us 2 weeks to get to do that. And then I also think it's beneficial for the students to get to be exposed to all of our pastoral staff and getting to teach and all of that stuff, and getting to see that you don't just see Jeff maybe once on a Sunday, but you get to actually hear his heart. You get to hear him teach. And most of our pastors will, if they're able to, stay for throughout the afternoon or something and get in touch with the kids and talk with them. And I think that's just really beneficial for everyone to see just everyone in our church and all of our staff and get to know them even better.
Yeah, those mornings I get to go down and teach, those are some highlights of my summer for sure. And I think it's sentimental in the fact that is somewhere I used to be. But it's neat to just that's a whole group of people in our church that I don't regularly get to teach or spend time with. And this year, my wife and son, and actually my niece, we all came down for high school week, and we had a really good time. And while we're on the subject, Joey, I'd like to remain Friday mornings if possible.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. Good deal.
Yeah, we're thankful for all of our pastors coming down to teach. And I know, Jeremy, I think you've got the hardest role in that because it's Friday morning.
Amen.
Yeah.
It's day 5 of heat, exhaustion, dehydration, and lack of sleep. It's just
for the adults too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're able to keep us awake and keep us engaged.
It's middle school camp especially. Everyone's just kind of glazed over. There's not a lot of interaction, but I'm impressed both weeks just how hungry those students are. And even on Friday morning after a long week, you have heard including myself, 4 pastors come, 4 old guys come and teach you about the Bible. They spent all week listening to Joe and Kashaun teach about the Bible. They've had a camp speaker. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And when we get there, it's amazing how many of those students are excited when I'm walking up. They're talking to me before I can even get into the building. They're talking to me. What are you talking about? What are you going to be teaching on this morning? When I'm done, they come up and ask questions. They're continuing to be engaged. That's amazing to me, just how much they love God's word and they love to learn God's word. And it's clear you guys are doing an excellent job. So talk to me a little bit about some of the funny stuff that happens at camp.
Some of the funny things we do as small groups, they compete in lip sync battles at night. And so we give them, they just are able to choose a song. It has to be approved, but we'll play the song and they choreograph it and lip sync to it. So those are always hilariously funny.
Yeah.
And then they also do a Bible skit mashup. So we'll give them a Bible story and a movie universe. So they'll have, Moses crossing the Red Sea in, a superhero universe or something like that.
Yeah.
So they're trying to combine all these things, and it's pretty funny. It's really entertaining.
Yeah. I think one of them had to do Thanos snapping the Infinity Gauntlet with Star Wars.
Okay.
So it was pretty impressive. These kids are pretty creative.
Yeah, they are creative. There's a lot of good videos, and my college students that go as sponsors, I always love seeing what dumb things they do while they're at camp. For the sake of their students that they're working with.
I know what you're talking about.
Then I give them grief when they get home, and so that's very good, very good. So vehicles operated while you were there.
While we were at Falls Creek, yeah, because we rented out.
Because that's not always true for all of your events.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so
we rented out for Falls Creek, and everything went exceptionally well.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. So just before we wrap up our episode, tell us a little bit more about the summer, some other things that have gone on this summer, and some of the highlights.
So, like I said, we try to take advantage of the students being out of school.
Uh-huh.
There's also not many sports going on. And so we have evenings a lot more free. So Wednesday nights we did a pool Bible study. I was at the Wynn's house. They've got a pool and a nice pool house just to the side of the pool. There's no AC or anything, so it's a little hot. But I would do a 20, 25-minute Bible lesson. So we went through the book of Ruth this summer on Wednesday nights. Friday nights we tried something new and called it just a high school and college theology night. So for our high school students and your college students, they were able to come and just hear kind of lecture-style teaching on a topic of theology.
Yeah.
I think that went really well. We had
too.
a good turnout in the brick. And so those are two kind of the staple things that we do every week.
Yeah.
Kashaun and Mary can speak to other stuff that we do as well.
Yeah, it's just a cool opportunity to meet with students during the day, too, because we don't get that when the school year starts. But for me, one of my favorite nights was the theology nights, and I believe I was the only one at the table here who went to all of those.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, that means you're smarter than everybody else.
I think
here.
so.
Yeah.
No, but we had 4 of our pastors teach. We had you two teach, of course, and then John and Jeff. So we went over topics like eschatology, limited atonement, the theology of worship, and remind me of the last one.
Sovereignty.
Sovereignty. That's right.
You were there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was. You can ask Jeff. No, they were really awesome, and just having that interaction between the college students who haven't seen those high school students in a few years.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that is. I heard nothing but good things about that. And leading up to, so I did the 4th one, and as it got closer, the more I was regretting being out of town or not available to be at all 4 of them, because everyone was just talking about how great they were. So it sounds like a huge benefit, and they wanted them to keep going. Let's just do this every Friday night, which is amazing. You have high school and college students during their summer break at 8:00 on Friday night. They're going and listening to somebody lecture about points of theology. It's just amazing to me. That's really, really, really neat. Colorado mission trip, how was it?
It was good. So I was not expecting the heat in Colorado, though. It was upper 90s every day.
Yeah.
It was less humid, though, so that was nice.
Right.
The way there, we had some trouble, a little bit of trouble on the way back, but
Yeah.
not as much. So we took our van, which is a 15-passenger van, and our people mover, which transports 27.
Okay.
And both of them broke on the way up there. So
brutal.
We got to Wichita, and in the van, so I was pulling the trailer and had like 5 or 6 people with me, and the shifter just came detached from the transmission, so it was just floating free, and I got stuck in park. I've got stuck a couple other times in like reverse, and so I finally got to an O'Reilly's and was able to get it fixed. The van, or the people mover, we got to Lyman, Colorado, which if you don't know where that is, it's nowhere in Colorado. Michael Plinsky's from there, which explains a lot, but or from that area at least. So the starter went out on that, so they got gas and it just wouldn't start back up. So I had to drop the trailer off in Denver, drive an hour and a half back, and scoop up some students and everyone and get them back. So it was kind of a nightmare to get there.
But you got there. Everyone was safe.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
The Lord was so good in that, and but the trip itself, it sounds like good mission work went on, and good events there.
Yeah, and so we got to work with the Godins, Kevin and Bridget, who Kevin used to have your job essentially, associate pastor here several years ago, and so they planted a church in Westminster, or Broomfield technically, Colorado, and so we got to help them just get their name out there and go door to door and have park parties and get to talk to people and help them just get their name out in the community.
Very good. Well, as we finish up, any one last thing you want to just have an exclamation point on the summer that you'd like for people to know about?
Jackson Music. He shaved his mullet.
Okay.
At Falls Creek.
That's a big deal. Okay.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was a lot of hair.
He's been growing it for I don't know how long, 18 months or something.
Yeah.
So one of the dumb fun things that Falls Creek does is they have a mullet shake contest, and so you can grow your mullet out and they'll judge it. I don't know what the criteria is, how white trashy you can get, but Jackson said if I don't win that, I'm going to shave it at Falls Creek, and he did. He was true to his word.
Wow. Okay. Kashaun?
Well, I would just say like one of the biggest exclamation points on the summer for me was, as Mary said before, just getting to meet with our students during the day. Kind of not looking forward to how the schedules will work out in the fall with school and stuff, but I thought that was like really impactful, and it made my schedule a lot easier just to be able to meet with a student at like 9:30 in the morning, you know.
Right.
So it was really important for me, and it was really impactful for me.
Very good. Very good.
And just one last word, I'm thankful for our church furnishing us so well with money just in the budget. I mean, most of our budget is spent during the summer on Falls Creek and Super Summer and mission trips. Like it's expensive to run. So I'm grateful that we serve at a church that provides us budget to be able to minister to our students. And,
Amen.
Falls Creek can go away. Like that's not an institution that Christ has promised to bless like he has the church.
Right.
So it's not essential in that sense. And it does cost a lot. So maybe, we don't know what the future holds. But while we can do it and while we have budget to do it, we're very grateful to be able to spend that much time with our students and serve them that way.
Yeah, well, I am I'm so grateful for all three of you. And Kashaun and Mary also, they work with 6th grade all the way up to college students, and so they get to serve in my ministry area as well. So I'm grateful for them and the impact they make there as well. I'm grateful to get to work alongside Joey as one of our pastors, and just appreciate you guys, your heart for our students, and everything you do during the summer. We're so grateful that you have tuned in for another episode of the 412 Podcast. You can keep up with all things First Baptist Mustang at fbcmustang.org. Thank you for joining us for another episode, 412. We will see you next time.